Well, one of these two hosts had a really good weekend in DFS. Spoiler alert, it wasn't me. The pre-snap starts right now.
You're listening to the PreSnap podcast, brought to you by LineStar, the top-rated DFS tool set and #1 companion for DraftKings, FanDuel, and Yahoo Daily Fantasy. Go LineStar Premium now at LineStarApp.com. Now, here are your hosts, fantasy football experts Joe Pisapia and Chris Meaney.
Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? It's me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia, and welcome to the pre-snap right here on the LineStar app. It's me, and it's Chris Meaney, and it's you. And Chris Meaney, man, I did not like Week 13 at all. I got a lot of things right, but the things I got wrong were so bad that it dragged all the good down with it. It was a story of good intentions for lineups with Devontae Parker, lineups with Cortland Sutton, lineups with Devontae Adams. But you know what? At the end of the day, my quarterbacks just completely undid all their good. Sam Darnold, Kyler Murray, just to name a few. Chris Meaney, I'm glad that you're in a better mood than I am because it's Monday and I am not a happy camper.
Season-long leagues were a little challenging. Drew Brees, Jameis Winston, these guys scoring, 10 fantasy points. Not great. Not great at all. But from DFS standpoint, pretty solid. I mean, the LineStar app was all over the Rams and talked about them at length.
I'm an idiot. I should have had no Rams. None.
My most successful lineup had 3 of them. Had Goff, Higbee, and Robert Woods, and I had a lot of Cooper Kupp. They were part of the touchdown call, the Cooper Kupp. So there's a successful winner out there for sure listening to this show. But yeah, that was the success: Goff and Kupp and Robert Woods and Higbee. But there was also some disappointing performances too, particularly in the Tampa Bay and Jacksonville game. Right, we didn't get a whole lot from Winston or Evans.
Come on, Godwin and Evans combined for a game that one of them should have had.
Yeah, and
one of them should have 8 for 100, but no,
really no excuse. And Ronald Jones, who's in a good spot. I mean, definitely hard to trust in season-long formats. You take dart throws with these running backs in Tampa Bay, but Bruce Arians comes out today and says he was riding the hot hand, and Peyton Barber, he said Ronald Jones missed a blocking assignment. Then that's it. You miss a blocking assignment, you don't play, which is puzzling because Peyton Barber's missed several so far this season, and he continues to play. But so that was frustrating. And on the other side, I mean, I'll admit, I had some DJ Chark. I had some Foles and Chark stacks. D.D. Westbrook.
Lots of
fine.
Chark.
He hooked up. But, yeah, Foles gets you -3 or 1 point in a league. So, yeah, there were some disappointing performances across the board. And
Foles
some
also got himself
plays.
Benched, by the way, too, Chris.
He's done for the year now.
Benched. That's right. Done. Benched. So, back to Gardner Minshew so he can have all the $80 million right now. Foles will probably be somewhere else next year. Let me tell you.
Played parts of 3 games with Jacksonville this year.
Just atrocious. One of the worst. I said it at the time, and it's even been worse than I thought it was going to be. I just didn't get it. Like, what are you doing? Yeah. Not being so desperate to throw money at a guy who's never done anything. I can understand he had one magical run for a couple games, but my God, get over it. He's not that good. If he was any good, he would have been starting the whole time.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about what was good because some of the quarterback play was good. Jared Goff, you mentioned. 424, 2 touchdowns. Ryan Fitzpatrick beating your Eagles. I'm sorry, Chris. I know that was a tough one for you to take. Are you doing okay after that Eagles loss? That was brutal.
It's better now just to get it out of the way. It's crazy that they still have an outside chance. It's actually unbelievable to think about because this team they're just not a good football team. And even still, right now, looking Giants, Washington, Dallas, and the Giants to finish up the season. Dallas has a game in Chicago this week, a game against the Rams, and then the Eagles week 16. It's unbelievable to think that Philadelphia still has a chance to make the playoffs. But it's better now to get it out of the way and get it over with so that I don't have to cry myself to sleep week 16 when the Cowboys crush the Eagles. So, yeah, that was brutal. The defense have been 2 straight weeks. The defense has been unbelievable against the Pats and the Seahawks. And Miami
just give up a lead to the freaking
give a 14-point lead in the second half. Another trick play, the 3rd game in a row with a trick play. Yeah, maybe I'm not okay.
There wasn't a lot of great quarterback performances either. Like, there wasn't Lamar Jackson had his 100 yards rushing, so granted that. But Mahomes had 175. It was just kind of lackluster. Brady had 326, but that was in the night game, so nobody cares on the main slate.
Right.
And Wentz
that seemed to just happened all at once too in the fourth quarter with Brady. Yeah, it was interesting. Like Watson was contrarian. I guess that you're right, the night game, but nobody even wanted to play him in season long formats. Carson Wentz, a lot of people had question marks. He was a great tournament. The recency bias is completely a thing, and it was on full display yesterday. It really was. I mean, with Jared Goff and the Rams getting smoked the week before on primetime, a complete bounce back spot for them to get right. And the same thing for Carson Wentz. All of a sudden, Nelson Aguilar returns, Alshon Jeffrey returns. Both of those guys were phenomenal, and Carson Wentz puts a top 5 QB performance out there as well. So it was an interesting week for sure, but a lot of top quarterbacks with good matchups disappointed. Sam Darnold was another one. Nick Foles, again, back to him. These guys were pretty disappointing yesterday for sure. And I guess it goes to show that, again, recency bias is completely a thing in fantasy.
Certainly is. Unbelievable. But look, it's better to talk about the rushing leaders in this week, because you had Derrick Henry, who is just money against the Colts, who just every year when we get to this point in the season just seems to take over and look great. Maybe defenses are tired and beat up. I don't know what's going on, but man, once you hit November 15th or so, Derrick Henry just looks great. 26 for 149, a touchdown for him. Darius Geis only had 10 carries. We had 129 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he was ferocious. I cannot wait to get back into Darius Geis business, because I saw how physically he ran the football, and I was impressed. He's throwing stiff arms. He's knocking guys down. This was the Darius Geis that I've been waiting for, and we finally got it.
Yeah, it's very impressive stuff for him. That run that you're talking about, the stiff arm was amazing. Unfortunately, it just seems like we're only going to get 10 to 12 touches a game for him the rest of the way. I mean, part of that is on Carolina. They can't stop running backs. AP was solid yesterday as well, but Green Bay, Philly, Giants coming up on the schedule. I mean, he's going to remain a tournament play. I don't think you're going to be able to trust him in cash, but yeah, a very positive performance from him. He was great.
Okay, and other guys to talk about too when you're looking at the rest of the rushing slate. I mean, Raheem Mostert. I mean, we got to talk about this guy. With Breida out, he stepped into that void, and another nice performance for him. Low cost. I mean, I don't know what happens next week when Breida comes back. I'm not getting into it, but it was good while it lasted at the very least, right, Chris?
Yeah, for sure. He runs hard. I like the way he really runs. It's just so tough to get involved with his 49ers backfield. I mean, Tevin Coleman he looks like the Tevin Coleman of last year that couldn't run between the tackles and given an opportunity. He hardly played in that football game against the Ravens yesterday, and he's been brutal over the past few weeks. He's had basically 2 solid games. One of them came, when he had 3 touchdowns. I think it may have came against Arizona, so do we even count that? So he's been very disappointing, but you're right. Now Matt Breida looks like all the reports I've seen is that Breida was pretty close to being able to play, but they wanted to give him one more week as the 49ers are set for the playoffs. They want to have a fully healthy squad, but next week against the Saints, tough team to run on. Baltimore, tough team too. Let's give Mostert credit, but yeah, I mean, I don't think I'll be able to play him with confidence.
No, I don't think you can do that either. Looking at the rest of the running backs too, obviously, as far as rushing yards, Lamar Jackson was very good, 100 on the ground for him. He's pushing 1,000 on the year. Melvin Gordon, 99 on the ground for him. Todd Gurley, 95 and a touchdown. Look at that, a Todd Gurley sighting. Can you believe it?
I can. Yeah. I mean, 2 weeks ago, they went to him. 25 carries, 97 yards, and a touchdown. That was his best performance of the season. And Sean McVay had said that he was going to turn things over to Todd Gurley and not have Jared Goff throw the ball like 40, 50 times a game, which was happening earlier. And I just didn't want to take too much stock into Baltimore, just a different beast, 6 for 22. So I can believe it. He still hasn't hit 100 yards on the ground yet, though, this season, which is kind of unbelievable.
Yeah, it's like, and he's
Jonathan
close.
Williams done it twice, right? I mean, he didn't do anything yesterday, but Williams has done it twice this year, and Gurley hasn't hit the century mark on the ground.
Now you just depressed me. That's just depressing. The fact that you said that, and that's true this year, that is just
disgusting.
It's super depressing, Chris. Way to go. I mean, I'm already depressed coming into today, and then you hit me with a stat like that, and it just gets worse and worse. Let's talk about the receivers, because they were good.
Yes.
Woods had 19 freaking targets. Unbelievable. 13 catches, 172 yards. No touchdowns, but who cares? Devontae Parker, 2 touchdowns, 7 for 159. Somebody's going to pay that man. I don't know who, but somebody. Alshon Jeffrey, I can't believe it. I had faded off Jeffrey in favor of Dallas Goedert. I thought he would be the guy, but Jeffrey really was. 9 for 137 to the touchdown. James Washington was a thing. Mike Williams was a thing. I mean, it's funny. Williams, Washington, all these guys who've done hardly anything all year, and they're all guys that we liked. All of a sudden, they showed up in week 13, and I'm just like, well, great. Where have you been all season?
I know. I'll kick myself for Mike Williams in one of my season-long leagues. I just have no faith in playing this guy. So, And that was, I guess, encouraging to see. Again, DJ Moore has a pretty solid day, finds the end zone. That was nice to get 3 touchdowns in his last 2 games. But yeah, there were some surprising performances for sure. Alshon Jeffrey being one of them. Devontae Parker, maybe surprising that he finished wide receiver 1 for the week. Still have Monday Night Football, but overall, this guy's been pretty good. I mean, at least 56 yards and a touchdown in every single game but one. The one game he didn't do, it came against your Pats in week 2, right? He had 7 targets, 0 catches. That just happens. But I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick is not afraid to throw the ball to Devontae Parker, and he's turning into, a fantasy MVP in season-long leagues and just a beautiful discount in DFS. Again, this past week, he was so cheap. He got double-digit targets in 4 straight games. He's hit the 91-yard mark in 3 straight contests. So he's been really, really good. And then there was another wideout that kind of surprised me a little bit. Maybe not so much surprising, but Tyler Boyd, maybe we can go back. We mentioned him in a good matchup with Andy Dalton. He's averaging 10 targets per game with Dalton. And, with Finley, he wasn't even getting 6 targets a game. So,
Chris, on the same day, I just want to point out on the same day, we had a Redskins victory, a Bengals victory, and a Dolphins victory. I don't know what to say anymore. I mean, this is horrible. I hope Mike Randall's okay. I hope he can make it to the show on Friday because this was brutal. Now, we were right about the Steelers, so that's for sure. So we definitely nailed that one, but this was absolutely
3 wins
brutal
from those teams who now have a combined 7 wins on the season. And I guess if you're a Bengals fan, you can feel pretty good about the fact that Miami also won, Washington also won, the Giants now holding the 2nd pick, and they don't want a quarterback. So even if the Bengals do fall to, 2nd overall where they get that pick and it's the Giants, they can feel pretty good about maybe Joe Burrow being a member of the Cincinnati Bengals. So.
Yeah. All right. Let's start to look ahead a little bit. Monday, Thursday here. Obviously tonight you got the Seahawks and of course the Minnesota Vikings though. So we'll see, because we saw Kirk Cousins be really good a couple weeks ago. We're like, oh, look at him beating the Cowboys. Wow, that's huge. Going on the road having a big game, but then we see the Cowboys more and we go, oh, well, maybe that's not such an exciting feat after all. So can he go in there and be any good with what he's got left there? Because he's still got Diggs, still got Dalvin Cook, no Adam Thielen in this one. We know Seattle's kind of tough to gauge, especially with that running game now. Tough situation there. Vikings very good against the run. You've got a scenario also where you don't know who's touching the football how many times. Now you're in a timeshare with the running backs. And then the Thursday night game, you got Cowboys at Bears. So that's another one where you kind of throw your hands up and you go, all right, well, it's in Chicago. I don't know if I'm buying any good thing about the Bears defense anymore. The Cowboys, they put up stats in that game. If you look at the stats of Dak Prescott and some of the other players, you're like, wow, they must have had a hell of a game. They put up 15 points on Thanksgiving. It's absolutely brutal. So how do you approach this Monday, Thursday slate? Seahawks, Vikings, Bears, Cowboys. What's your approach?
Yeah, this is tough. Yeah, I mean, Dalvin Cook is a guy that you can 100% trust as just somebody who's just going to get a ton of touches. And the other side,
build around him, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think you just build around him. I mean, you're really just you're completely rolling the dice with the Seattle backfield. Although Seattle says that Chris Carson is still their guy, but I mean, he's their guy until when? If he fumble the football in the first quarter tonight and then he's benched the rest of the way, I mean, that is absolutely a possibility. I know he didn't get credited for the fumble against the Eagles last week, but it was completely on him. It was a missed assignment. Russell Wilson went to hand it off and he wasn't even paying attention. So maybe that's on Russell Wilson not letting Chris Carson know the audible, the change at the line, but it was completely on him, and Russell Wilson chewed him out for it after. I saw them. They were bickering, and on the sidelines the rest of the way, it was Carson on the bench, and it was Penny, playing the game out, icing it, and looking pretty good against a tough run defense in Philadelphia. So I don't know what's going to happen there. I feel like Carson is still the guy, but I don't want to put my money on it. You know what I mean? So I'm just going to go with Cook. And on the other side, I've been saying this so many times. Dak Prescott's numbers are great, and he's got Amari Cooper, Randall Cobb, and Michael Gallup. Like, these guys have looked great this season. Jason Witten has shown up over the past couple of weeks, but run the football with Zeke. It seems like every time they run the football with him from start to finish, they win football games. But when they get away from the run and they're throwing, they get behind, and it's a complete mess. So I think you can run on Chicago. And I mean, David Blau, he was able to throw on the Bears defense last week.
I mean,
so
first half of that game was shocking. I thought we were going to end up with some kind of weird, legendary tall tale of the time that David Blau made a debut in Thanksgiving and beat the Bears. Everyone's like, really?
It was close, man. Happened? It was close.
Tell me about that story again, Grandpa. David Blau on Thanksgiving. Well, sonny boy, come sit by the fire and I'll tell you that tall tale. But
I almost sat Kenny Golladay and he had a 75-yard touchdown in the first
and
series.
I missed the playoffs by 2 points. That son of a bitch. Anyway, I'll tell you, I'm looking at this and to me, I agree with you. It's Cook, it's Allen Robinson. That's what I'm building around.
Yeah.
And then whatever else I can fit in, because those guys are, I think, the two definitive pieces you're going to get returns on. Everything else is kind of a crapshoot. I would go back to either Rudolph or Witten at tight end, though. I think that's definitely the way I would go there. I know a lot of people are going to be on Hollister instead, but I think he's going to cost too much. I don't think you can fit in Cook and the guys you want. So I think it's okay to fade down a little bit at the tight end position. All right, so let's do that favorite thing we like to do every Monday here, and that is Hot Take week 14. So we're here already. I can't believe the season just flies by every year. So let's go through these lightning quick. Panthers at Falcons. Panthers coming off a bad loss here. Kyle Allen, again, just doing Kyle Allen things. Falcons aren't much better. So what's your scenario on this one? Are we just kind of hoping that Julio is healthy enough to play in this one? If so, you go back there. I know for me, same old. It's DJ Moore and get out of my way, because I can't get enough. I can't quit him, and I refuse to.
Yeah, CMC is probably going to be, again, too expensive.
He's going to be $11K like he was this week. Oh, my God.
Yeah, to get involved with. I'm with you. Yeah, DJ Moore is phenomenal.
And he didn't score a touchdown even this week. I mean, that's the danger. When you spend $11K on a guy and he doesn't have a touchdown, or at least 2, that's a bad scenario.
Yeah, keep an eye on Greg Olsen. So if Greg Olsen's sideline, this probably just means a few more targets for DJ Moore. Maybe Curtis Samuel want to get involved there. The guy that I'm interested in, I can't believe I'm even going to say this, is Devonta Freeman, just because of Carolina and how bad they've been against running backs. We already talked about it off the top of the show with Geis and AP. The biggest takeaway for me, and just looking at Atlanta last week, is that Freeman had missed a bunch of games in a row, and he came back and he got a full workload. He had 17 carries. I know he only had 51 yards. He hasn't been efficient all year long, but the fact that he had 17 carries and he came away with 5 targets and 4 catches, so that's 22 opportunities for that guy. You're going to give him 22 opportunities against Carolina's defense. I mean, he may be a decent play. He may have been dropped in season-long leagues, and he's probably going to be pretty cheap in DFS. So, I mean, that's just one maybe contrarian sneaky play in tournaments.
All right, Colts and Bucks. Can you muster enough of the Colts offense to attack the Bucks secondary? I don't know. Maybe Pascal? I don't know, man.
Pascal Doyle, that's about it.
I don't feel good about it.
Running backs are completely confusing now. Williams only played 16 snaps yesterday. It was Wilkins and Hines getting the workload.
The whole thing
after Williams looked good for 2 straight games, too. So, yeah, it's staying away from Colts.
Yeah, what about on the Bucs side? Would you go back to this with Godwin and Evans to just shake it off, or no?
Yeah, I think so. I think he can go back. It's amazing. Bruce Arians is just, man, he's throwing us so many curveballs this year when O.J. Howard was involved yesterday and then the backfield. I think, again, just talking off the top, I'd be hypocritical if I didn't say about recency bias. So, all those people that paid up for Evans and Godwin who were disappointed, maybe they decide to go another way this week with, a full slate on the schedule. So I'm going to have no problem going back to them. I mean, the Colts they've given up some pretty big plays on defense over the past couple of weeks.
All right. Well, if I've got DJ Moore, then I've got to have Devontae Parker too. He's going to take on the Jets with the Dolphins. This one's going to be in New York. So give me Devontae Parker yet again. And with the Jets, Le'Veon Bell has been really steady. Last week was kind of a letdown game. I think it's a perfect opportunity to buy back in because I think everybody will just be off of it. And the Dolphins stink against the run. So I'm going to go back to Le'Veon Bell here in this spot. I think they just got down and they got weird. And I'm just going to not worry about it. The 49ers schedule doesn't get much easier. Now they're going to go to New Orleans after traveling to Baltimore. So here we go. What do you think of the 49ers against Drew Brees in that building?
Whew, that's going to be a good one because they have, I was still impressed with their defense yesterday as well, even though they lost that football game. I thought they held Lamar Jackson in check, for the most part. That final drive, they weren't able to do so. But I'll probably get involved with maybe like Emmanuel Sanders in this spot from the San Fran side of things. But that'll basically be it. That's going to be a good game. Saints at home right now, favored by 3. I feel pretty good locking them in to win that game by a field goal. As impressive as San Fran's defense has been, I still have some major question marks with Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah. Oh, there's definitely major question marks there. I'd love to see a little bit of a discount on Michael Thomas. If I get a little discount, I'm in. I'm still going to take it in that building without a doubt. Lions and Vikings. And, I saw the David Blau show. That was fun for a half, but I'm not going to buy into it. So I will buy into Dalvin Cook, though. I'll be willing to pay whatever the price
Yes.
is for him on that one for sure. We'll see if Adam Thielen makes it back for that one. Time will tell. I'll tell you what, Cortland Sutton has proven to me he's matchup proof. Doesn't matter who it is, doesn't matter who's playing quarterback. Cortland Sutton is a good player to own, and he's got touchdown upside every single week. So he's been really steady this year in the Texans. What are your thoughts on them here? Because they're not a team that does run the ball very well. So that's the one thing the Broncos do well. So I'm curious, what do you think about the Deshaun Watson at home against the Broncos?
I mean, hey, if he can put up top 2, top 3 fantasy numbers for the week against the Pats, I mean, I'm gonna like him against any team. So I thought he played pretty good last night, and so I'm definitely I'll be interested in him for sure. But you're dead on about Sutton. Another contrarian play last week. I mean, he's been dealing with poor quarterback play, top coverage, nobody else catching balls. The run game has kind of been non-existent. Freeman had more snaps than Lindsey yesterday. It was, an interesting situation for sure. I thought Lindsey was in a good spot to have some success. He disappointed. The Texans are 10-point favorites. Maybe they were able to have some success with Carlos Hyde, run the football with him. But again, not a guy I'm going to play in DFS. Hopkins. Sure, that's basically it. That's the only Texan I really want.
Yeah, it's Hopkins and Watson. That's about it. That's all I can ever really feel good about anyway. Ravens at Bills. I think this is a tough one. I really do. Ravens have, they've been riding high. They've had some huge games. I think this could be a classic letdown scenario because I think Buffalo's a good football team. Buffalo's got a little something to prove. Buffalo hits, Lamar Jackson's rolling over people because, he's out there and, safeties and corners are trying to tackle him because he's just blowing past the linebackers. Now this is the one team where this is a team that can hit you in the secondary. So if I'm Lamar Jackson, I'm going to learn how to slide this week because those boys out there, I'm telling you right now, Buffalo, they'll take your head off. They don't care. So I think this one's going to be fascinating to watch. I'm not saying the Ravens are going to lose, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than people realize.
Yeah, I think it'll probably go very similar to how things went yesterday with Baltimore and San Fran. I mean, 2 solid defenses, two mobile quarterbacks here, and maybe just a grind. I mean, looking right now, Ravens are 5.5-point favorites. The total is set at 43.5. I mean, yeah, that's kind of how I see this thing playing out at 23-20 or 23-17. I do feel like the Ravens will win, but this is going to be another strong test. Buffalo's no pushover. You and I have been talking about the Bills since week 1. About this team being underrated defensively, about Josh Allen every single week. You can roll him out in cash. He continues to put up good numbers, even in tough matchups. John Brown continues to be a solid fantasy asset that has been underpriced and underowned all year. So those are the 2 guys that I like if you want to be contrarian. But, I just can't really get involved with any pass catchers. It's like naked Lamar Jackson, and that's it. I mean, it's just,
I agree. And look, the Ravens defense has played really well too, so I don't going to be loving up on the Bills either, but Josh Allen will still be a good value. I still think Josh Allen will put up points because that's what Josh Allen does. Bengals at Browns. I would expect the Browns to bounce back. Just check on the health of Baker Mayfield here, but Kareem Hunt continues to be a really good full-point PPR investment. He's getting all-purpose yards. He's catching the football. That's what you want. Jarvis Landry, I think, will be good here against the Bengals. As far as the Bengals go, maybe Tyler Boyd. We kind of touched on that a little bit. And I did have one share of Andy Dalton. He was pretty good. He was my best quarterback. When Andy Dalton is your best performing quarterback, it was a bad week. But that's okay. 13 weeks, bound to have a bad week some point, really miserable, but whatever. Redskins and Packers. So you like Geis against the Pack here in this one in Green Bay?
Well, I don't love him. I don't like him enough to roll him out with confidence in season-long formats where, I need a win. But he's, I guess, really he's just a contrarian GPP play the rest of the way. It's just you're not going to be able to trust this backfield because AP is just not going anywhere. He just really isn't. And now this game's in Green Bay, and the Packers are 14-point favorites. They're going to get behind. How much is Geis going to be involved? Is it going to be Thompson? What's going to happen there in the backfield? I mean, AP has been on the field and passing downs and caught a few balls over the past couple weeks as well. So, honestly, probably not involved with any Washington players. I still don't like them despite their coming off back-to-back wins.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're rolling now, baby. It's the Dwayne Haskins show. What about Devontae Adams?
Yeah, for sure. Adams has just been so consistent, right? I mean, I say we, but in the fantasy community, I feel like Rodgers just gets glossed over, and it's just Aaron Jones, which is fine, Aaron Jones. But I mean, Devontae Adams, ever since he came back off missing 4 or 5 games in a row. 11 targets, 7 grabs. 10 targets, 7 grabs. 12 targets, 7 grabs. 10 targets, 6 grabs. Very consistent. He's got touchdowns in back-to-back games. Yeah, sounds real good against Washington. He's going to be highly priced, and I guess that's the pivot. If you don't want to go Michael Thomas, I mean, the next highest price wideout probably that you want to get in your lineup is Adams.
All right, 4 o'clock games. We got the Chargers, the Jaguars. Ugh, I don't know about this one. But I will like Eckler. I think Eckler is the one guy that I'm going to cherry pick out. I'm not going to buy too much in. And I just don't trust. Like if Rivers starts to go south, I just worry about what happens if Tyrod Taylor comes in. So I'm going to Eckler and nothing else for me in that one. You got Steelers, Cardinals. We'll see if Kyler Murray's healthy. I know he wasn't healthy, and that was kind of the problem. And, in hindsight, I should have pivoted off of him. I was very heavily invested in Kyler Murray, but he did not look like himself in this game. So Steelers defense against Kyler Murray, probably not a great sell for me next week. And then you got Titans, Raiders. Titans have played really well. Chiefs, Patriots. So in these 4 o'clock games, what kind of catches your fancy here?
Well, Derrick Henry, again, that's obvious, not breaking news here. Henry is phenomenal. If you're not going to play Henry, maybe you'll just want to play Ryan Tannehill. I mean, this guy's he's been really good. It's opened things up for Derrick Henry. We've said it before with Marcus Mariota. They weren't able to run the play action. But, I mean, you look at just overall with Ryan Tannehill, he's been a top 5 quarterback over the last few weeks, but 9.1 yards per attempt, that's solid. I mean, he's putting up some pretty good numbers. He's
like
running
Alex
around.
Smith. Like Alex Smith had all this hype around him, and they never happened. And then he kind of got shipped off. And then all of a sudden in Kansas City, he started making playoffs and playing good football. And they turned that into a huge contract.
It's been great. I mean, beat the Chargers, beat the Bucks, lost to Carolina, beat KC, Jacksonville, Indy. Like, those aren't impressive teams that he's beaten, but they're still getting the job done and winning the games. Throwing 2 touchdowns in every single game, but 1 over that span. He's got 3 rushing touchdowns. Look at some of these rushing totals, like 4 for 38, 4 for 37, 7 for 40. I mean, that's like a free point. That's a free touchdown, basically. 4 points that you're getting from Ryan Tannehill. So and it's a great matchup against Oakland. I mean, the secondary is awful. They've been lit up 2 weeks in a row now, once against the Jets. So, I mean, I like the Titans. If you're not going to roll with Henry, I think you take Tannehill and an AJ Brown or something like that. I'm with you. I'm completely off the Cardinals. I don't want anything to do with that.
I'm off the Cardinals,
or the Steelers. I don't want anything crazy. It's nuts. Like Washington, maybe, I guess.
Let me tell you something. Outside of Derrick Henry, I feel like you take this 4 o'clock slate and stick it. I'll tell you what, James White interests me against the Chiefs. I will say that.
Yes.
I do like James White against the Chiefs for sure. That's a piece that I can get behind. But, I'm hoping that what we saw in the fourth quarter with the Patriots is a trend where they just start to get a little bit more reckless, a little bit, more creative and start getting a little bit more aggressive, because you don't have the players to get it done. You might as well have the play calling be aggressive and just try to do it that way, because you don't have playmakers, and you're going to need playmakers to keep up with the Chiefs offense. But the question is, can the Chiefs defense stop anybody? And that's a real question. So that'll be a fascinating game to take a look at here at 4 o'clock. So there's some really good football on the slate. I tell you, 49ers, Saints, Chiefs, Patriots, Ravens, Bills, outstanding games. We're very excited about them, and you should be excited too for that LineStar app. So make sure you are downloading that LineStar app and using it right now. We got a couple weeks left of football season, and baseball is just around the corner. So go get it right now and upgrade to that premium product. That'll do it for me and Chris today. You can follow us on the Twitter machine at Chris Meaney, at Joe Pisapia 17, and of course at LineStar app and LineStar NFL. That'll do it for me and Chris. And there's nothing left to do now on the pre-snap except break the huddle, and it's time to sit down, win.
You've been listening to the Pre-Snap Podcast, brought to you by LineStar. Hit subscribe, tell a friend, and stay tuned for the next episode from fantasy football experts Joe Pisapia and Chris Meaney.